Right. Truth be told, when JHS contacted me and said they wanted to send me a pedal based on an old tape recorder from the 1980s, I'll be honest, I was like, cool, but why would I ever want to use that? I'd never heard of McGee, I've never even touched a Tascam 424, and running a guitar into a cassette deck just sounds like one of those things lo-fi bedroom producers do, and it probably sounds awful with distortion. But then I actually plugged into it, and within 5 minutes, I was playing Black Sabbath. Like, proper blown out old fuzz distortion that somehow didn't sound like trash. And the clean tones? They were spongy, squishy, kind of vibey, in a way most amp modelers just can't do. So yeah, I'll say it, I didn't expect to like this pedal. This is the 424 Gainstage by JHS, and it might just be my favourite guitar pedal of 2025. So thanks to JHS for sending it over, supporting the community and sponsoring today's video. Alright, so let's get into the 424 Gainstage, what it actually is, what it does, and why it's so different. This thing is basically a love letter to the original Tascam 424 Porta-Studio, which if you're like me and you had no idea, was a 4-track cassette recorder from the 80s and 90s. It's famous for being used on stuff like Springsteen's Nebraska, early Wu-Tang tracks, and more recently, all of those weird, rubbery guitar tones you hear on McGee and Justin Bieber's new stuff. So for anyone who's wondering what's actually going on under the hood, the JHS 424 Gainstage is built around the original Tascam 424 Mark I circuit. They've used the same op amps, the UPC 4570 and the NJM 4565, and recreated all the original controls from the Porta-Studio. That's not just for show either. The way the gain stages interact is identical to how the original tape decks worked. You got 2 gain controls, gain 1, gain 2, and a master volume plus a bass and a treble EQ. But it's not your usual drive pedal where you just turn the gain up and get more saturation. This thing responds more like a recording console or tape machine input. The gains actually stack, and you can get everything from squishy cleans to fully overloaded fuzz, depending on how you balance them. It's got a 1/4 inch output like a normal pedal, but it also has a balanced XLR out, which is what makes this thing so wild. See, this pedal wasn't just inspired by the original 424 tape machine, it was inspired by the way that people are now using them. There's this wave of guitarists, especially in lo-fi, alt pop and experimental scenes, who are running their entire pedal board into the Tascam Porta-Studio.
And then that into a Roland Jazz chorus?
It's actually just completely DI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not just for recording, but as their actual DI output, like a guitar preamp. Instead of running it into an amp, or even a clean pedal platform like a Roland Jazz chorus, they're literally going pedal board, tape machine, PA, no cab, no impulse response, no amps. And this pedal captures that setup, but in something you can fit on a pedal board and take anywhere. It's such a weird, niche piece of gear to base a pedal on, but somehow JHS made it feel like a completely fresh way of playing the guitar. You get the character of pushing a lo-fi tape machine, but with all the practicality of modern gear. And when you combine it with that DI XLR output, especially in a studio or a live setting, it just makes so much sense. I honestly think this might be the start of a new way to rig up your entire pedal board. Look, I'll be honest, I didn't think I was going to enjoy this pedal. I knew it had a cult following with guys like McGee using it for that kind of squishy, lo-fi DI output tone. And then I guess I figured that's all it would be. Bit of a vibe tool, maybe something fun for clean stuff. But as soon as I started playing around with it, it just kept surprising me. I was going from riff to riff, just messing around. And suddenly, I realised it was handling way more than I expected. At first, it didn't quite love the fast-paced Metallica style riffing. It's not that kind of tight, high-gain pedal. But as soon as I started leaning into more classic rock riffs, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Eagles, even Sabbath, it just kind of opened up a world of possibilities. The tone got richer, fuzzier in the right way, and it just felt great to play with. And what really caught me off guard is how close I got to that kind of Hendrix or Van Halen Brown sound. I've never really found that tone in any amp that I've owned, and I didn't think I'd even like it. But through this pedal, I actually really loved it. There's this warmth and push that feels like a clean amp that's been turned up way too loud. And the way it reacts to your playing is next level. If you pick gently, the sound flattens out. It gets fluffy, warm, almost soft. But then when you dig in, the whole thing sharpens up and starts to break in this really expressive way. It taught me a lot about dynamic picking. How you hit the strings really shapes the tone you get. It doesn't really feel like a traditional distortion or a fuzz pedal. It's more like pure overload. Like you've just pushed the input on an old tape machine way past its limit. But it still sounds musical. And then I tried it with my 7-string. Honestly, again, I didn't expect this to work, but it did. I was playing those early Korn style riffs, low tuning, raw chugs, and it actually held up really well. The thing about Korn's tone was it was really rough, ready and raw, before all that sharp production and all those layers, and that's exactly what this pedal has given you. It's got that gritty, broken sounding energy without feeling fake or fizzy. Actually made me think it would probably be an amazing doom metal pedal. Like no fancy setup, just plug straight in and you've got that overdriven, crumbling wall of sound kind of tone. And it still feels playable. You could genuinely use this live if you were doing sludge, stoner, or doom stuff, and you wanted to just skip the whole amp rig. It's honestly one of the only pedals I've played where I didn't really know what to expect, and ended up actually just wanting to keep going. It's inspiring. I came into this thinking it was going to be like a weird lo-fi toy, and now it might be one of my favourite pedals of 2025. And what blew my mind the most is that all of this, everything you're hearing, is just this one pedal. No amp, no impulse response, no cab sims. It's literally the JHS 424 Gainstage going out of the XLR straight into my interface. That's it. I couldn't believe how much tone, texture, and character was coming out of that one little pedal. It's one of the simplest rigs I've used, and somehow one of the most fun and inspiring to play through. If you're chasing something different, try out this. You might just be as surprised as I was. I think what I love most about this pedal is it's not trying to be a plugin or capture the sound of 500 amps in one box. It's just an old school, weird, analog circuit brought into the modern day with zero pretense. In a world where everything's polished, perfect and predictable, the 424 Gainstage feels like the absolute opposite. It's not sterile, it's not exact, rough around the edges in all the right ways, and I think that's what makes it feel human. There's actually something really refreshing about going back to a low-tech era where you just plugged into something, twisted a few knobs, and you just play. And that's exactly what it felt like. No presets, no deep diving, no IRs, no cab sims. I didn't even need a boost pedal. It actually reminded me of the first time I plugged into an amp, and I kind of just played for the sake of playing for hours. There's a rawness to it. Like, you know, you're actually interacting with the gear. You're not just clicking through tones on a screen. And yeah, I get it. Amp modelers are amazing. I use them too. But I think they kind of push all of us towards the same tones that we've always used. We know them, we love them, so we just keep on using them. But this pedal, I think, broke that habit for me at least. I found myself playing differently, playing for longer. I even played with more feel. It was so weird. It's niche, but it's inspiring. And that for me is what makes a piece of gear special. So if you've been feeling stuck, uninspired, or just tired of modern gear, you should check out the 424 Gainstage by JHS. It might just remind you of why you picked up a guitar in the first place. Check out the link in the description below for more information.